I was just about to say, g'day everyone, Viv here. I hope you're all keeping well. Welcome back. But we haven't done that for a while, and it's kind of been really liberating, these vlogs that I've been doing. You know, they don't have an intro. There's no, g'day everyone, Viv here sort of stuff. There's no end. There's just bits and pieces that I've been filming, you know, in the limited time that I have each day. And it's been really, really enjoyable. It's taken a lot of the pressure that I've felt over the years in terms of making videos. Anyway, I realized yesterday, with so many things going wrong, and if you haven't seen the previous vlog, you know, my extractor broke and smoke filled my workshop space here. The lens on my laser cooked, and you know, they're $700 from Trotec to replace. It was just one of those days where so many things go wrong, but it was kind of awakening a little bit. I realized that, you know, this is just a hobby for me now. There's no rush. There's no urgency. You know, I was talking in the previous episode or the previous vlog, you know, about, you know, cutting huge numbers or laying out files to cut huge numbers of, you know, all the various parts for these models. And I realized, and I mentioned in the video, that I don't need to do that. In fact, I might have mentioned it in this one. I don't know. The days are blending together. But there's no rush. You know, I'm just going to make a model. I'm going to paint it, and I'm just going to enjoy the process. Just like I am right now. I'm sitting here, I'm listening to a battle report from the Seventh Son, and just enjoying it. You know, I listened to some jugs later on. It was so nice just to sit there and actually do some hobby. Now, I don't write scripts. I think maybe I've written 5 scripts in the hundreds and hundreds of videos I've made across all of my different channels. I'm a rambler. I think everyone knows that. And so I thought, given this is a hobby and I can just take some time and, you know, put a little time lapse on, and, you know, I don't need to really explain what I'm doing. We can chat. And so I thought I'd go through some of the previous comments in the previous vlogs. Not too far back, just sort of the recent ones. So, you know, there's a little bit of reference. I found this one from Tony Pridham funny. You know, you visit Bunnings too often when you get on a first name basis with the staff. The black curtain, it works a treat. Well, the black curtain that I hung up on the garage door worked for one day until I opened the garage door, and then it all fell down. I need to find another way to put that up. Marcus Anderson asks, who is the artist of the pictures that I hung in the wall? They're by Anthony Cristo. Very talented, award-winning artist. I went to high school with his cousin. I met him at PAX in 2015. Lovely guy, lovely artist. Specializes in fantasy sort of artwork. And those prints that I hung up on the wall were printed on canvas. I will, at some stage, make some, what are they called? Frames for them, so I can frame them properly. Good old Trent Holbrook. I had a convoluted foam up there on the wall. The foam panels we all buy as YouTubers that we put up and then can't work out if they're actually doing anything. Classic. Yeah, well, they were just there because I had a blank wall, but I prefer to have the artwork up there. The 13th says the room is becoming so good so quickly. It's very nice to actually be doing some hobby work in this room. I haven't done any for years and years and years. Anyway, to get my laser back up and running, I have a replacement lens, which is fine. And I can buy the replacement lenses on eBay. They're not too expensive if you just get the lens itself and fit it to the holder. If you buy it from Trotec, it comes with a holder and a focus tool, and they're expensive. But the biggest issue is the extractor. I was using the Atmos 2 Duo from Trotec. But I think I'll go back to one of the snail extractors and see if I can rig up some plumbing somehow. The issue being I'm very consciously aware of my neighbors, that I need to make sure that any smoke that I'm venting is vented well above the roof line. And now on my house, that's 12 meters, no, a little over 10 meters tall. So yeah, something to think about there. This was such a nice process. This is just some tissue paper that I'm wrapping over this building here. You know, I think I explained shortly that I thought it might make a good substitute for tar paper, which they used a bit of in the Old West. Just, you know, putting some tar on their roofs.
Oh, all right. So I'm quite happy with how the building is coming along. There's some things that I would change for the next one that I do, but I want to get some paint on top of, you know, this tissue paper, which I think should hopefully give a reasonable representation of a, you know, what's it called? Tar paper that they used. So we've got, in cupboards of paints, this sort of bluish, blackish sort of color, which I'm kind of hoping is going to be, you know, good enough to give us a dark colored roof, but without it sort of being black. And then we can throw some washes and stuff on, and hopefully, if we need to. Well, let's give this a shot, but I'm really happy with this. The textures come up really nice. You know, the stains have done a good job. It's a little bit washed out, it's difficult to see, but I'm excited.
So also I was looking in the cupboards for some paint for this roof here. I found a cast of a sculpt that Trent Holbrook made when he came to visit the Knights of Dust studio some time back in the painting cupboard. And, you know, again, given that this is a hobby and there's no massive rush for me to finish this Wild West town, which is called Complaint, you know, I was thinking, look, I'm just going to do it model by model. And that got me thinking, well, maybe the next video or, you know, a vlog for next week, I can start work and maybe finish, who knows, that model from Trent. It's a lovely model. It's a big giant. We'll have a look at it, I'm sure, at some stage. It's something that I need to do. You know, it was a present from Trent. It was a gift, and it doesn't feel right to have it sitting there unpainted. And just like when I did the painting of the big giant tree ent sort of thing, I think I'll link it in the description if you want to check that out. That was a model that Ara Harwood from Mana Press gave me. And it took me ages to paint that. So I thought, look, I'm going to get that model out this coming week and get some paint on it. And then, you know, when I get around to getting some shelves and models on display and stuff, you know, that can sit there and be on display. These stains, by the way, that I'm using, these are water-based stains. I really like them. They're from Cabot's. Again, we get them from Bunnings. And water-based makes them really easy to use.
You can really see here the difference. So the left side of this boardwalk hasn't been textured at all. And you can really see the difference, right? When you do the edges of the MDF with that little wire wheel, as I was explaining earlier on. The long ones aren't any good. It needs to be the short little disc wheel, which is wherever it is. It does an amazing job at texturing up the MDF. Now this piece here, I did go overboard on the top, so it doesn't look too good. But I'm really pleased with how it's come up on the rest of the building. It's really done a good job of adding a little bit of extra interest. Certainly here on the back you can see that doesn't look like MDF. Time to mess about with the lasers a little bit more. Want to cut some shingles and I want to cut another building. I had laid up everything to cut like massive quantities of all the walls and everything, but I think I might just build this town one building, you know, after another. And whilst it is modular, I don't need to cut hundreds and hundreds of pieces. I'll just pick and choose the pieces that I want, and then cut those, assemble it, paint it, add it to the town, and just slowly grow Complaint. There's no need for a production line here. I'm super excited.